Workday is incredibly unique in how we are really redefining the future of work and are upskilling. Every one of our 20,000 employees has an OKR around AI.
Absolutely. And as you're talking about the COE, your team, your leadership across the enterprise, there's a lot of up-leveling of skills.
I think that upskilling is really important because people need to feel confident and that a company is investing in them. The AI revolution is coming. And I think Workday's investment in company-wide reskilling all of us really makes employees feel that they are truly valued by the company and that they're being invested in, and that this is a development and a journey that we're all going to go on together.
Aine, I'm so excited to catch up with you. You were just in London accepting the award for the top 20 legal entrepreneurs for the past 20 years. How's your current role at Workday reflect the kind of innovation that this award celebrates?
Thanks, Jerry. And yes, it was a huge honor. And when I look back over the last 20 years, a lot of it, I think the theme has been around changing people's mindsets and just that change management piece has always been a common thread. And us as lawyers, and you and I talked about this many times, just quite a traditional profession originally. And now we're embarking on this kind of change, which the AI revolution is going to completely accelerate. But the FT did a piece of research this year that I had the privilege of being involved in. And they were like, what are the top 5 things that CEOs are looking for legal teams? And I thought it was super interesting that, the first one was be unexpected, like have a business mindset, but a legal heart. And I think that is something that lawyers who can really have an impact, that's how they think in terms of solving business challenges. And then agility. I think the ability to look at different ways of doing the work and being able to shift and not stay static, and that ability to kind of challenge the status quo of how legal work is done. Be simple. And I think you and I are big advocates for this. As lawyers, we tend to overcomplicate, and even simplifying our templates, how we contract with our customers or our vendors makes that customer experience much, much better. And also just communicating with business folks in a really easy to understand way. And the fourth one, which is so relevant, I think, for our discussion, is be AI ahead. I think all CEOs are looking to legal departments now to be embracing AI and to be driving efficiencies to deliver an impact and to change how they work. And I think in over the last 20 years, I've seen that change to, yes, it would be great if our legal team used technology, to now it's an expectation. In fact, I think a lot of legal departments are under pressure to do that. And then the fifth one is be collaborative. And I think when we think about AI, it's not just AI for legal or a tool that just helps legal. It's so much better if that tool can have other users across the enterprise, because that helps with the ROI. It helps with getting buy-in and getting budget, quite frankly, for using those tools. So I just thought it was a great piece of research that really resonated with me in terms of how I think now businesses want legal departments to operate.
Yeah, you talking about tools, you've seen a lot of tools in your career, and you and I have a great background. I know you've been all over the industry and super experienced. Now that you're using Evisort at Workday, what's that been like? And it's funny to see that you and I knew each other before in our legal leadership capacities, and now we're both here. So, I'm really curious.
I know it's been so brilliant because I came to Workday, and then Workday acquired Evisort, which for me, the legal team had already been using Evisort at Workday. And then for Evisort to become part of like a huge strategic product for the company, that some people might have thought this is a legal tool. But in fact, Evisort is an enterprise capability. It has enterprise capabilities on the way it can analyze both contracts and financial data, which is something I haven't seen before in the industry. But what I would say about the tools I've seen over the years, you and I both have been to so many industry events where there's tools on offer and it's these bright, shiny objects, but the problem is that 80% of those tech implementations by legal departments are very challenging, and they say don't deliver an ROI. So I think as legal teams think about what are the tools from an AI perspective that they're going to invest in, the pressure is on to make sure that those tools are actually going to be impactful and deliver savings, efficiencies, and will drive adoption as well of those tools, not just in legal, but have a broader business case. And I think Evisort is very unique in that regard. So I actually was so excited when I heard that Workday was acquiring Evisort. And in fact, how ironic that the legal team on the M&A side was using Evisort to acquire Evisort in the due diligence. So it was, I think, made so much sense because every function, almost like if you look at finance, the vendor contracts, you look at legal usually has remit of all of the customer contracts. You have employment contracts. There's so many contracts across legal, HR, finance, vendor management, and really coming together and collaborating to say, what is the tool that we can all use that gives us all this strategic advantage around analyzing, using AI, custom AI, the conversational AI in Evisort, I think the really supercharged, deep and analytical AI that it has to bring these business insights and then bring them almost right there at your fingertips, wherever you're operating, whether that's in Workday or for us also in Salesforce, that you're actually taking those capabilities and changing how people do their job by making that AI available right there in the way that they work. And I think that's what is unique about Evisort. And obviously, you also talk to other people in the industry and other legal departments. And I had done my due diligence on Evisort and was really excited by even colleagues that I knew who were using it at Netflix and in other places to, really see how they were delivering an ROI as well. So for me, it makes a lot of sense for customers not to invest in a niche siloed tool in AI, but to think bigger, because then their CIOs, their CFOs really can also think about how they could use that tool really effectively. And actually, we have a brilliant partnership with our CIO, you and I, doing a lot around how do we make sure that, we're optimizing use cases way beyond legal now. Yes, legal uses it, and let's talk about a couple of our use cases. But I mean, we're in the midst of like incredibly strategic projects with Evisort that are going to change fundamentally, I think, how we manage our whole deal cycle.
Yeah, Aine, you're totally right. This is not a legal issue only. It's a issue for leadership across the broader enterprise because it's using AI for documents, right? And your leadership across that has been amazing to watch. What are some of those use cases that your team is using Evisort for, and what's the impact that it's having?
Well, I mean, like all legal departments and companies, we have over 100,000 customer contracts and order forms. We now have those with Evisort, and at any time we can X-ray using our custom AI and extract different data points that we need around what we're doing with our customers, any restrictions, any sort of obligations we have, opportunities we have. Similarly, we have the same with all our vendor contracts. But, the use cases, and just to make it practical for people, because sometimes I think AI seems like something that some people feel is difficult to understand exactly what it does. But if you think about even any company, if they're acquiring another company, one of the big things that they want to do as part of doing their due diligence on that company is to look at all their customer and vendor contracts and see if there's anything problematic in there. And normally, legal departments would go to outside counsel to do that work, and they would give outside counsel access to all these contracts, and outside counsel would open them up, review them, and come back with a report. And that is traditionally what would happen. With Evisort, you can have Evisort literally X-ray and analyze those contracts and come back based on the list of issues that you care about. And for us, we had over 1,000 contracts recently in that kind of due diligence process. And Evisort was able to do that analysis in a day. And that would have taken our outside counsel a week and cost us probably around $50,000. That's one example. Another example is, so many legal departments are asked by the business, do we have any restrictions around certain things? Are there customers that we cannot reference for marketing purposes? Can you give us renewal dates for these types of customers? Can you look at cyber breach notification obligations that we've signed up to with customers? Normally, that would have taken us, several resources, opening those contracts, reading through them, analyzing them, putting them in some kind of spreadsheet and trying to generate a report. With Evisort, you can do your prompting, set up the things that you really wanted to analyze, and you have those reports. Again, it's a matter of hours versus weeks. And that level of efficiency, on average, on those kind of, and just general contract analytics requests that we get all the time from 10 different functions across the business, that has saved us about $180,000 hours a year. And you can quantify the amount of FT time, but also the cost avoidance for also getting outside counsel to do those kind of exercises. And so for us, we started with sort of single source of truth, getting all our contracts in one place, then analyzing them. And now we're dynamically also making sure that Evisort is updating all the time. When contracts get signed, they feed into Evisort. Then we can analyze using the custom AI, what are the new terms and conditions. And we're working cross-functionally now with about 6 other functions: finance, our RevOps, our deal management, and legal. And we've identified 54 different data points about our customers that we really want to dynamically have Evisort continue to track all the time, but then push back into the Salesforce customer record so that everybody has that almost summary, holistic view of what our customers are doing. So we're super excited about that. It's launching very soon, and something that we can share on my team. We have a Center of Excellence for Evisort too, from a legal perspective, and we can share with our customers what we learned, the sort of do's and don'ts. And then we're also feeding back into your product team, Jerry, things that we're learning. And I think that partnership is really beneficial because you have a legal team in Workday using it, building new use cases all the time, both for legal but cross-functionally, and then feeding all of that back into the product lifecycle. And I think that's also very unique, and we're customer zero for Evisort. And we're so excited to have that opportunity because it's also helping us learn and embrace AI and giving us the opportunity to really upskill everybody in the legal team with all the different use cases. And we've several use cases in the works too. We're always lining up our next, like all projects, it's, what's our next? And so we've a few very exciting ones coming on. Very complex contract summarizations on third-party paper. We've got some fantastic redlining, but I think what we had to do before that was build our playbook. We needed an AI-ready playbook. And again, I think that's something that might be of interest to our customers. How do you build an AI-ready playbook? How do you even build a playbook? And our Center of Excellence really worked on, making sure we had that AI ready for Evisort, because it's the tool, but you have to do the pre-work, get your data ready, really try to maximize what you do with any AI tool. But I think you'll get even more ROI from Evisort on that front as well. So those are just some examples of the things that we've seen, but huge cost savings. If I think of what we paid for Evisort originally, it's paid for itself 35 times over the last 3 years. And we continue to have more and more value, and we've started to quantify that. And I think legal teams should really, with any of these tools, your business case to get the investment should include what you can save over time, what costs you can avoid. We've been tracking that so that we built a methodology around that. And I think helping our customers think through that. Because I think with any AI tool, it's the ROI in AI that your CEO and CFO really expects you to also be able to articulate.
Absolutely. And as you're talking about the COE, your team, your leadership across the enterprise, there's a lot of up-leveling of skills, right? Not everyone knew how to write prompts and use the AI out of the box. And so as you're seeing the Evisort project get wider, what are some of the up-leveling and the skills that you saw have to be taken up?
Yeah. I think Workday is incredibly unique in how we are really redefining the future of work, and are upskilling. Every one of our 20,000 employees has an OKR around AI. And so we're using a wide range of tools. In legal, like Evisort is a key tool for us. And so over the last 12 months, we've had everybody go through a prompt engineering course for over 20 hours each. And we are continually rolling out training, and we have a train the trainer model. And we're also training, and with Ronnie, our CIO's help, training other functions on how to use Evisort, because we want to expand Evisort into as many functions as possible. And right now we have too many functions. We have to make sure that we do that enablement in the right way, because everybody's chomping at the bit to use Evisort. But I think that upskilling is really important, because people need to feel confident and that a company is investing in them. In the AI revolution is coming, and a lot of fear. People are fearful about, will I be left behind? Will I have the skills? And I think Workday's investment in company-wide reskilling all of us really makes employees feel that they are truly valued by the company, and that they're being invested in, and that this is a development and a journey that we're all going to go on together. But it is, like I said about the last 20 years, it is all about adoption and agility and mindset. And if you have a company that's investing in you, and I think Workday has a lot of examples that I think customers can leverage on how to get the adoption, how to get people using AI. But I think, Evisort has a great user interface. It's not super complicated. Even a proof of concept with Evisort, you can upload 50 contracts and start kind of playing around and seeing how it works, and you can already see the value. And then, there are other things that are harder to implement. I think Evisort is easier in that regard. You can get up and running quite fast, and then build on your use cases and ROI as well.
Definitely. And as you're talking about the everyday AI, everyone is trying to get AI skills. You have a unique leadership capacity in that you're able to work with the CIO, right? I've seen that in real life. Talk about, how do other legal teams, when they think about working with CIOs, what are some of the best practices?
I think, I've always said, I want the CIO to be the best friend of legal, because in a way, legal wasn't traditionally poised to be really good at implementing technology, quite frankly. But I think if you have a really good partnership with your CIO, and you're looking together at what is the landscape of AI tools that are out there, looking at the reports, demoing things jointly as teams, and really kind of building your AI strategy and your agentic strategy. And then legal needs to build their database layer to get ready for those agents. And I think that partnership means that legal teams are not on their own knocking on the door of finance to say, hey, we'd really like this tool. It's just for legal. We think there's an ROI. They're saying, we've partnered with the CIO. We've looked at the landscape of industry-leading tools. We've selected this. It has a broader business case than just legal. Other functions across the company can use it. That's a very powerful business case. And I think you're more likely to get investment, and you're more likely then to also have that partnership with your CIO and your technology or business technology. It's called different things at different companies, but they can help you with the implementation, and you're learning together, and you're then building that internal skill. And Ronnie Johnson, our CIO here, it's been an incredible partnership, the three of us in a way, to really think about the use case of Evisort broadly. And now we have so many functions who are really using Evisort, and that we're enabling, and that Ronnie's team is looking at it in that it is a strategic advantage for us in multiple areas of our business, that we can now leverage it.
amazing. I mean, that's really unheard of in some ways across the industry. And also, it's not just the CIOs, but it's also the legal team themselves, right? And so what advice do you have for other legal teams? And you and I know many of them, but for other legal teams who also want to get AI ready, what advice do you have?
I think really sitting down and building a strategy or getting help to build your tech strategy, something that Evisort, I think, even before we Workday and Evisort became part of Workday, I think, Jerry, something you and your team did really well was you had a lot of collateral and enablement and documentation that people could read, demos, use to think about the ROI. I think also it's what is your highest and biggest challenge, not just as a legal team, but as a business. And many, many businesses, they don't have a single source of truth for contracts. They don't have an enterprise way of looking at contracts that could give them a strategic advantage. And if that is a challenge that you have as a business and as a legal team, then align that to a business imperative. So at Workday, everything's also about scale and speed. And Carl talks a lot about that as our CEO. I think legal teams that can really look at the business strategy that their company has and say, how could our use of AI help the business move faster, deliver an ROI, be more efficient? And I think build your tech strategy around that. Align it to the business goals and imperatives. Partner with as many people across the enterprise and senior leadership, CFO, CIO. And, Rich is such an amazing partner. He's our CLO at Workday and has such great relationships with all of these other leaders in the company that we come together a lot to think about what is our impact as a legal team on the business strategy, and all of our priorities are really tightly connected to that. So I think legal teams just need to think about business impact, align your tech strategy to that. Same with agents. Like if you're building a legal agent for sales, don't go it alone. Bring what is the other information from other functions that sales would need and build that agent together and put that data, point that data at that agent for sales, and build out the personas of the clients within the company that you want to serve with these agents. And then think about the partners across the business that could come together with you to deliver on that in an impactful way. So I think just get out of your silo, start working east to west, and I think you can supersize your impact if you do that.
Yeah, no, I think super exciting what you're saying, both for the skills, but also for agents. And so we love that, Aine.
Yeah, I know. I'm now, we have so many agents that we want to build in legal. We've had to prioritize.
Yeah.
I think Evisort, though, is a huge focus for us because the ROI is very clear. I think you have to also prioritize based on the ROI. And that's to the business as well. Yeah. Because
and
it's
absolutely
all about investing in the right way.
Which is a rare skill, right? Because sometimes I think when I work with legal ops leaders, they always talk about the technology, the implementation, but sometimes they don't think as deeply about what's the ROI, how do you write that business case, right, that you need to get the funding. And so great advice, Aine. Thank you. I think one question that you ask me all the time is, you knew Evisort before the acquisition, through the acquisition, but where is it going now?
I'm always interested in your innovation roadmap. It's been such a innovative tool. I've seen the progression of it over the years too, which has been pretty phenomenal. But yes, what's next?
Yeah, it's interesting. You already touched on it, and you and I we're always aligned on this. But just for the audience, Aine touched on agents, and I think agents is really exciting. And the way that I think about agents is it's an AI employee, right? And that's a very different thing than like a generative AI feature or a foundational model wrapper. It's really about doing the role and the skills and the jobs to get done in an AI way, right? So that's what an agent is. And so when it comes to Evisort, we're looking across the entire CLM lifecycle and looking across the entire contract intelligence lifecycle, and we're saying, well, what are the use cases that are being done on top of our platform, and how do we build agents to actually do some of those use cases, even without the user having to log in, right? So, ambient agents is a term that I use for that. But if there's a NDA that comes in that's, run of the mill, it's on your template. The only thing that was changed was the counterpart to match what was in Salesforce and the effective date. That doesn't necessarily need its own review process. Can an ambient agent take a first pass and then understand what are the risks? And then if there are risks based on, to Aine's point, the playbooks that have been defined, routing it then to the right person, right? And so when we think about agents and employees, we think that these two are going to work together in the future of work. And at Workday, that's something we're really excited about. So, Aine, it's about taking agents, looking across CLM and contract intelligence, and figuring out where are the areas where we need to break the mold, and just think about what the people are actually doing and how do we make their skills and their jobs easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the most useful thing? I think agents with a real focus on how does that help people do their jobs in a different way and take work that can be quite repetitive, answering the same questions. But also even I think of contract summaries, an agent that summarizes, and I love that voice is coming with agents too. My dream is that I'll have a microphone on my desk and I'll say, Evisort, I want a summary of all the contracts we have with this customer. I see the power of Evisort being able to also progress to incredible levels in the future. So it's super exciting. But yes, it is all about agents at the moment and thinking through what's next.
Absolutely, Aine. Aine, I've really enjoyed the conversation. Every time you and I talk, the ideas are flowing. There's a lot of other legal teams that are beginning their AI journey. And so I'm curious, for your team that's actually been on the journey and you're also innovating, what are some things that you're thinking about doing to support the broader community?
I think just professional generosity. Over the last 20 years, so many other legal teams helped me spark ideas, gave me, time to help me understand their learnings from their implementations or different programs they were running. And we really want to pay it forward. We do believe that the legal department at Workday are forward thinkers on AI, and we would love to share what we've learned about Evisort, how we've been able to articulate the ROI, how we're thinking about use cases, how we're thinking about adoption and reskilling everybody. And so anything we can do to help our customers be successful with Evisort, because we truly believe it's an incredibly impactful tool, and we'd love to share our journey.
Yeah, and Aine, every time you and I talk, ideas, products, implementation, how we partner. So again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you just won the award and everyone wants some of your time. So I appreciate you sitting down to have a chat, and so much to do ahead. So excited to continue that work.
Exciting time. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for the partnership.
Thanks, Aine.